Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. I'm Mika. Here at Leap Taken, I talk all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And let's get into this video. I am so excited to talk about this movie. I've seen this movie several times. Just heads up, this is not my first time watching it. This is the first time I watched it with the intention of talking about it with you guys, the way that I'm about to get into. Um, this is such a campy movie, The Love Witch. It's so campy. Let me get something before I get started. Because I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to grab it now. Ugh, forgive me. Got it. Anyway, but yeah, The Love Witch. Let's get into it. So I have my notes because I will definitely swerve off topic on this. I already know it. So I am going to do my best to stay in line with the point I want to get across. So it is my witchy review this Friday. The Love Witch is the movie. So this is the one with the retro glam dramatic. This video, we're going to do dramatic breakdowns. I'm breaking down things I didn't hear other people talk about when this movie came out. And I'm going to give spoilers because by now, surely you've seen this movie. It's been out for a minute. But there's a reason I want to talk about this movie right now. And the reason is, let's look at what's happening on the larger scale right now. Right now, we have situations where at least celebrity men, right? We have Chris Brown, who's, I don't know if he's still locked up, but he was as of yesterday in another country from an assault from 2023. But Chris Brown is problematic. Hey, Insky is problematic as I don't know what because he has a history of violence against women, and we're not just talking Rihanna. I know he has loyal fans, but I mean, I'm telling you what's been reported. Whether it's true or not, y'all can fight your mom about that. I'm just telling you. He has a proven, or it appears to be proven record of having issues with women, and it becomes violent. There are some things that have been proven. We have Diddy, that is by far, I mean, a plethora. Then we have DDG. If you have no idea who this person is, I didn't know who this man was either. I still don't really. He's a streamer at this point, but he is the one who was with the Little Mermaid, Halle Bailey. Excuse me. He is. They have a child together, so they were together, and she recently, as in the last like 48, 72 hours, came out. It's become public because she didn't talk about it. It just became public that she had a restraining order against him. And if you've ever been a woman who had to get a restraining order, you understand that is not simple. And she's granted, I think at this point, primary custody of their child. So there's that. And Tory Lanez, if you have no idea who that man was, who I honestly didn't know who he was either initially, he's tied to, in the most unfortunate way, Megan Thee Stallion. He was the shooter where she had the bullet fragments in her foot or feet. I'm not sure if it was both feet. But anyway, he went to jail for that. So there was an eyewitness, again, another person with loyalists, which is another topic altogether that we're actually going to touch a little bit on. But what these are just some. This has been going on. We have, I could take you back to the Ruffin, Ike Turner, excuse me, Ike Turner, and the Ruffin guy. I can't remember his first name right now. Like your old school people as well, who committed violence against women and all things that, the feminine divine itself, because that's what they were fighting against, the physical woman in front of them, and then against all things feminine. So watching this, reviewing it from where we are today, I thought was actually going to be an interesting take with all this happening. I wanted to kind of look at this because this movie is campy, is visually stunning and pleasing. I love the 60s aesthetic, but there's meat here. It's not all aesthetic. There's so much meat. So if you've seen the movie, based on everything that's happening now and what I'm going to talk about, go back and maybe watch it again. Now, and if you're looking for a place to watch it for free, I was able to watch it on Tubi. Um, I don't know where. I mean, you can go other places and rent it, but you can watch it for free on Tubi. There's a couple ads, but you can watch it for free. I'm just telling you. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, like where's she coming? This movie has been out. I know it's been out, and I've actually seen it before. But that's why I wanted to talk about it, because there's something there, and we're gonna get into all the somethings and more. So let's start with the look of the movie. Let's start with the look. Because listen, The Love Witch is visual goals. Again, that 60s technicolor aesthetic, it was immaculate. The costumes, the wardrobe, wonderful, beautiful. The altars, oh my God, the candles, the potions, oh my, that was just it was the damn tea set was everything. I want the tea set. It's all giving vintage witch fantasy. Love all of it. However, it's not just about being pretty in this movie. The movie is intentional. There are intentional things. Every lipstick shade, every lace curtain, dramatic eye twitch, it's telling you something. So I want to start from the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords. I can't talk this today. Let me drink something. So I want to talk tarot for a second. Because The Love Witch, basically, the movie is a walking, talking Three of Swords energy. Y'all know the Three of Swords. So it's the heart pierced with three swords. Okay, we see this in the beginning. The foreshadowing it's in the very opening scene when she's driving to her new place of residence, which she's somewhere in California, and she's in her red convertible. We're gonna get into that too. But she's driving and she goes to grab, I think, another cigarette. We see, and the card comes out. The Three of Swords comes out. It's obvious, but it's that card's about heartbreak, betrayal, emotional pain. It's also about slicing through illusion. And that's gonna be Elaine. Elaine is the main character. That's her whole journey. She's glamored up. Putting on her performance of the perfect love object. But underneath, there's a lot of, she's dealing with rejection. We learn that loneliness, a deep ache, a very deep ache of not being seen for who she really is. Every man that she ensnares is overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed. They're not enchanted. Every spell that she casts is a desperate plea to not be abandoned. The magic, or I want to say the real magic of Three of Swords, isn't just about pain, though. It's about what you do with it. It's a call to stop romanticizing pain and start healing it. Something our main character, Elaine, she never really figures that out. If you're watching this through a witch's eyes and you pull that Three of Swords, I suggest, like, right now, ask yourself, like, you're somebody kind of identifying a little too much with Elaine? Am I casting spells from power, or are you casting from heartbreak disguised as glamour? This is to my love witches, my glamour witches. Where are you casting from? Where are you pulling from? Are you pulling from heartbreak or heartache? So I want to talk about the power of red, especially in the opening scene. So the Love Witch, they don't play when it comes to symbolism. There's so much. So if ever there was a movie to get into some symbolism, and and it wasn't like heavy, this is the one. Right from the start. So in the opening scenes, we see Elaine in a red Mustang convertible. She has red luggage, wearing a red outfit. That's not just a bold choice. That's spell casting through color. That's your color magic right there. So in witchcraft and glamour magic, red is the color of power, seduction, passion, vitality, and war. It activates root chakra. Survival, security, the primal self. I identify a lot with the color red, so it immediately stood out to me. Elaine showing up in all red isn't just about making an entrance, it's about announcing her presence as a force. It's a power color. She's telling the world, I'm here, I am wanted, and I'll take what I desire. But there is a flip side with the color red. It's also a color of danger, obsession, rage, and blood. It warns of wounds, both physical and emotional, which is a lot of the plot. Elaine's version of love is dangerous. Her desire is a weapon she wields. I can't talk, wields, even if it's hurting her too. You ever get stuck on a word? Anyway, so that red, it's sort of doing double duty. It's glamour and warning, lust and heartbreak, magic and mayhem, and you're getting that in the opening scenes. From the very first frame, the movie is telling you this isn't a love story. This is a spell going too far. So now I want to talk about, so we're still sort of in the beginning. I want to talk about Trish. Trish is the person who lets her in her new place. Remember, she's new in town. She's renting a place, a subletting. So Trish is a friend of a friend, also an interior designer, we find out. And we're going to talk about femme energy and the tea room that they go to. So let's get into that. To me, I feel like it's the most underrated sort of spellbinding parts of the Love Witch is Elaine and Trish's interactions. That first moment when they meet, Trish, she's practically hypnotized by her. Now, if you remember the movie, and this is earlier on, so in the movie, Trish makes a point. I don't remember. I didn't write it. I don't think she said, not sexually, of course, but she says something to that effect. Like she's into her, but she like says that, even though I think when people go out of the way to say that, I think it might be a bit sexual. But anyway, there's an attraction, even if it's awkward. But I don't think it's about sex. I do think it was about the power that she felt was exuding all red. She's so hyper femme. Elaine was, and Trish immediately connects to that. We would learn later in the movie where there's a scene where Trish is trying on, literally trying on Elaine, the Love Witch. She's trying on, she put on her undergarments in the scene. She's put on this woman's every level of intimacy you could think of. She put on her wig, she put on her makeup, and she put on her underwear. She was alone in the house, in Elaine's house for a moment. This is just a scene, but that's foreshadowing. You can tell by the way she's kind of looking at her, taking her all in, not fully with her. There's some envy there. But later on, child, she literally wants to be, she wants to try on that power of femininity. Okay. So Elaine walks in as this ultra femme archetype, right? And Trish, she performs a more socially acceptable femininity. She's getting caught in a gravitational pull that is Elaine, the Love Witch. Like I said, she's genuinely, she's admiring her, and she's intimidated by her a little bit, and there's curiosity and, like I said, some envy. It's all in there. You could see it. So they go to this tea room, which is like a whole altar to divine femininity. They have a harpist. It's everything's pink. Girly wouldn't just describe it. It's so just femme and beautiful. And at one point, Trish, because her husband Richard comes in, but that's not what this is about. That's when we learn that, oh, men are not even supposed to be here. I don't think the place is clearly not made for men. And I love that. Elaine completely blends into that space. She owns that room. Meanwhile, Trish, it seems like she's just visiting. That was something that kind of stood out to me as well. And let's talk about tea for a minute, because in witchcraft, tea itself is ritual. It's herbal, intuitive, sensual, and slow. It's where secrets get spilled and energies get read over tea. That whole scene kind of low key was like a bit of an initiation. Um, Elaine isn't just sipping tea, she's showing Trish what a woman who lives for herself, no matter how delusional or dangerous um, it might actually look like. But she, to me, she's showing her that. Trisha's discomfort isn't just about, or just isn't because of Elaine's weird ideas about pleasing men, because Elaine's going to talk about pleasing men and how that is the utmost important. It's that Elaine's commitment to her own feminine fantasy challenges Trisha's whole identity. And that's some tension right there. It's a challenge to her. This is something that is playing out in real time on social media, especially in those comment sections and the people who are brave enough to actually post their ridiculousness. But there are women who are defending. They're the women who are kind of giving Trish, and they see a woman like, we're gonna say Cassie in with Diddy. I'm bringing it into today's time, not the movie, reality. I've seen a number of women who feel like because she is closer to the made up beauty ideal, Cassie, lighter skin, thin, young, we're talking at the time that she is pretty, long hair, all that. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I didn't say this is my ideal because I believe I'm beautiful, but y'all know what I mean. Um, because she is in line with this perceived idea of what the beauty limits bar is or whatever, which is essentially close to whiteness. Um, that her pretty privilege, it backfired on her, and that she's not innocent, because she can't be innocent. She's in on it too. She wanted it. She wanted all this. Men, I'm not saying I expect it. It always hurts hearing that, especially coming out of young men's mouths. It's like, what the but when I hear it coming out of young women, it's sad, and that's what I thought about watching this movie. How women who, even in what they believe, they have feminist views. They may not call it that, but they kind of feel like that as well. They identify with the same things. They just may not call it that. Um, have an issue with a different type of femininity, because I guess, like Trish, it threatens what they believe. And what they believe is that if you're this beautiful and you're reaching the beauty standard and you're with the rich guy, they're saying like you should be good, life should be perfect, everything should be good. So if you're complaining, that goes against everything I believe in, because the reason I'm not getting the rich guy and I don't have all the money and the glam and that lifestyle is because I know I'm not the ideal, but you are, so you shouldn't be able to complain, you shouldn't come back. And I think some women get angry about that, which, by the way, I am not in agreement with any of this, but I recognize it. It's sick, because we know it don't matter what you listen. Women who are not considered the beauty aesthetic are with men who don't have a lot of money, and they experience adoration and love. And conversely, they experience abuse. Beautiful women are with broke men getting beat up. I'm y'all, please. The issue is not about your beauty. And this is something Elaine, back to the movie, had a hard time really wrapping her mind around that, but we'll get into that a little bit more too. I want to switch gears. I want to talk about the painting that Elaine had been working on, because that was a whole other beast. Okay. It's easy to miss it, but it's one of the most telling and mystical symbols in the whole film. She paints herself as this mystical goddess-like figure, and she's surrounded by symbols, animals, and an almost like a Garden of Eden type landscape. It's not just art, it's ritual magic. That painting is a self-portrait of the witch she wants to become. It's spell casting with brushstrokes. I'm somebody who fully believes in this, by the way, as I enact this myself as a type of magic. This is something I've done. But in many witchcraft traditions, especially in glamour magic, visualizing yourself as powerful, healed, or divine is part of manifesting that version into reality. So Elaine isn't just playing pretend, she's creating a magical mirror of herself that's aspirational, idolized, and completely disconnected from her inner pain. Um, However, it gets a little juicy because that painting also acts as shadow work. Every brush stroke is covering up. Trying, she was, if you saw her, she was like softly doing so. Her soft brush strokes were sort of covering up her trauma, her loneliness, and her rejection. There's a scene where she's remembering something her father said to her, and her husband, what he said to her, that she didn't keep a clean house and she didn't look presentable. She needed to comb her hair. Her father called her a fatty. And she's just like replaying these memories. So we know this about the character without doing whole flashback scenes. It was just the audio of her thinking about it, and just her trying to get, heal from that. But she was trying to paint over her pain with this sort of serene, empowered image. But it doesn't work because real transformation doesn't come from just the aesthetic alone. It comes from actually healing. And unfortunately, that was the tragedy. The painting is the witch she wants to be, the one who was loved, admired, spiritually whole, but in the end, it was just a canvas. Um, she paints a goddess, but to me, she lives almost like a ghost of a woman. Um, so I ask you, like, what version, you would ask yourself this, because I was asking myself this. So, like, what version of myself am I painting for the world? And what truth am I hiding behind it? And it's something to explore. All right, next topic, the real magic in a glamorous package, right? So the spell bags, the potions, Elaine's Book of Shadows, her spell book. I want to get into that. So we're going to talk about the actual spell work because say what you want about the Love Witch, like some of that magic is giving real world, like real world practical with the vintage flair magic. The spell bag that Elaine does. So we see her in a scene where she's making a spell bag, and she you can tell she's everything she does is custom because she's selling to an occult shop, metaphysical shop. But excuse me, she has a royal blue. It seems to be like a royal blue pouch. She adds some herbs. It definitely looks like lavender and it looks like rosemary, and she seals it. And there's a bold stitched red pentacle on the front. And that color combo means something, by the way. That's not random. So like that blue is going to be about like emotional depth, psychic clarity, truth, and that red represents your passion, lust, vitality, and danger. She's combining literally emotional yearning with raw desire, and that pentacle is usually a symbol of protection. But in this context, it's almost ironic because Elaine isn't protecting herself or others. She's binding energy, not shielding it. Later, there is an actual binding ritual that she's doing with her. We'll get to that group that she was affiliated with, that spiritual group. And they did a binding thing. That's a whole other thing. I'll get there. Bear with me. So, what we think she puts inside lavender in that bag. Lavender is a classic herb for like your peace, love, calming energy. Rosemary, protection, remembrance, purification, love. I think she might have had a drawing of herself in that bag. That's like sympathetic magic. It probably like a written intention or spell. So that's like, I don't know. I don't know. We don't know, but I'm thinking, she probably did something like that. And then maybe her hair, that's kind of connecting the magic directly to her. That's what I would have did. But anyway, but this is sort of folk magic 101, by the way. But but it's like aesthetically extra from the movie perspective. Now the love potion. So we get directly from her spell book because we can see it in the movie, and I kept freeze framing it, looking at it. It's like a 1970s Pinterest fever dream, that book. But anyway, I think it was still legit witchy contest. So from her book of shadows, it says love spell to attract a love. Mix the following together with mortar and pestle. It was juniper berries, henbane, rose petals, elderflowers, vervain, and I can't make out the first part. It was a shadow, and I tried something of Crete. I don't know what. And then it said like add herb mixture to red wine and boil in a pot. It was a couple more details, but that blend is wild. So let's break that down. So juniper berries, that's going to represent your love, protection, banishing negative energy. Henbane, it's toxic. It's a toxic herb. It's associated with necromancy, dark seduction. We're not working with henbane, y'all. Nobody. I'm not. Don't. Rose petals, love, beauty, attraction. Elderflowers, transformation, warding off evil, sacred feminine. Vervain, my favorite, purification, love, invoking higher spiritual energy. And I don't know what that other thing was. Something of Crete. I don't know what it was. I'm thinking it's something rare. Didney of Crete. Thank you. I could not make it out. It's an herb. Okay, I'll have to go back and figure out what that's about. But because I'm definitely adding this to my pop culture grimoire. And then it goes on to say, add it all to red wine, which is known to be a carrier in spell work, if you didn't know, because wine is intoxicating. It's symbolic of blood, especially red wine, desire, and indulgence. Then she performs the spell, and we see her sort of in a sacred circle. It's like a pentagram, dressed in ritual garb, and she says, these were her words, I wrote it down. Goddess, please send me a beautiful, sweet man to love me as I love him, to love me, to love me, love me, love me, love me. And she just goes on, and that ends that scene. The words are not bad. They're not bad. But that is obsession magic. That's not invoking divine timing or a mutual attraction. That's a full-on emotional demand. I want him to love me, you know. From this witch's perspective, it is powerful, but it's chaotic. That level of desperation in your spell work, it pulls people in, but it drowns them, which we see, and you in the process. So that if you were thinking when I'm talking about love magic and anything that I'm talking about in my book of shadows for the love witch, we're not talking that. That's not what we're talking. Elaine's book of shadow, I want to talk about that. Oh my god, it was beautiful. It's what what a lot of us maybe strive to have aesthetically with the pages, but it was beautifully designed, and she had invocations, herbal correspondences. We did see some of that, and maybe some ritual techniques. I thought I saw something. But here's the thing. She treats it like gospel. She has absolutely no discernment, no adaptations. She's not living the craft. She's performing it like a costume. So here's a lesson. Magic should be rooted in awareness. You should be aware. When you cast from obsession, fear, or fantasy, you might get what you asked for, but it won't love you back. Hear that. Think on that one. Now we're going to get into Gahan. Gahan, it was Gahan. That's how I felt she was saying. Gahan and Barbara. And their cult vibes in their coven. Child, that situation. Listen, that whole spiritual group, it was given like cult energy with a splash of Renaissance fair. So At first glance, it looks like your typical ceremonial magic, right? Which, coven, which I personally don't like that because, especially the European ones, because I already know where that's leading. But anyway, they have the robes, the candles, the initiations, the sacred texts. The closer you look is messy. In real life and in the movie, it's messy. So let's talk about the Gehan character, the male leader. He's framed as a teacher, a guru, even a high priest. Very Ren Fair. Yes. Thank you, Sunflower and Thistle. Um, Maybe even he's a high priest, right? But Elaine's discomfort around him, it's so obvious. She kind of flinches when he touches her. There's the scene when we meet him. He's like, he kisses the womb and then above, and he tries to go up here, and she turns her head. So we know right off, rip. She don't really like this guy like that. The movie doesn't explicitly say what happened. Her body language screams boundary violations and spiritual manipulation. We do see in one of her initiations, he's on top of her, and I assume he had sex with her. She didn't particularly care for that. But she took this man's teaching, so that's some complexity right there. Anyway, she tells Trish about her past. So remember Trish, the woman we meet in the beginning. She tells Trish about her past in this group, and it's subtle. But you can hear in her tone that this man used power disguised as wisdom to control her. At least I was picking that up. And it's sadly that does happen in real life in spiritual spaces, with men specifically, which kind of ties us into the cult-like following that some of these celebrities, and we can argue the type of celebrity. Streamers are now celebrities. They're considered celebrities, whether you don't think that's not celebrity, apparently it is. So we see this happening now, sort of this following of men who don't respect the feminine at all, and they just want to use it up for sexual gratification. And even with that, that's for the performative rituals, so men can see them as men, not even just for the pleasure. I think it's more performative, just so other men can see that they get all the hoes. And we're seeing that play out in real life. And when I thought of this character, it kind of reminded me of what we're literally seeing right now. And if you have status and you have money, people follow you, including the women. They're following too. And there were men and women in that spiritual group. Back to the movie. Then we have Barbara. So Barbara is the coven matriarch, it appears. She seems wise, poetic. She seems very in control. She also enables Gehan. She sort of romanticizes the trauma and masks it in this goddess language, and spiritualizes Elaine's suffering instead of calling out the harm. At one point, Gehan kind of knows she has victims, that she's doing something to these men. At least it seems so, because he said victims. And I think Barbara knows too. I think Barbara is fully aware as well. And Elaine thinks she has everybody fooled about, what's really happened. But I think they do know, because, and they're okay with it. But on top of it, like, Barbara knew that Elaine was going after a married man. Oh, well. She didn't tell her differently. And there's something to be said about those type of women. Now let's keep this in the spiritual community. There have, unfortunately, you find this in churches too. They're more committed. We see this in political party affiliation. They are more focused on that than the human standing in front of them, the woman, the person who's been victimized. They don't see that anymore. They just see the thing. Whether for some people it's the coven itself, it's the magic, it's the power, it's the church, it's Trump, because we got people like that. Like, it scares me when I find women like that, like out in the wild in real life, where everything else, like that, this thing that's not even it's important to them, but the person living, breathing, standing in front of you they don't see your pain. They will never see your pain. They have something's in their head. There's a wall that they've installed. So that doesn't, forgive me, trump Trump or the church or the pastor or their husband, and you're telling them he did, you've been victimized, or in this case courts, juries, that, I'm y'all know what I'm talking about. Now let's talk those rituals that they perform. Back to the movie. They look beautiful. The rituals look beautiful. I do believe they did. They were naked a lot. They're not empowering Elaine though. They're binding her to an identity, the Love Witch. And in a way, it's Gahan and Barbara who help create Elaine's obsession. She's kind of been telling us that through the movie, her obsession with becoming desirable at all costs. They taught her that her power lies in her ability to attract, that she's only sacred when she's being used as a vessel of beauty and seduction. She doesn't become a love witch out of joy. She becomes one out of survival, Her magic didn't begin in freedom, it began in trauma disguised as ritual. And we see that. They flash back to it, when he's on top of her, Gahan, at one point. So there's trauma. The first husband, all of that. Like, it's just trauma. That's a warning. We need to talk about more often in the witchcraft community, though. Not every coven is safe. Not every ritual is healing. Power can be and is unfortunately abused, even when it's wrapped in incense and moonlight. So I want to read, I wrote this out verbatim, this scene where they're at the burlesque bar, and or wherever it's a lounge bar they're at. It's Gahan, Barbara, and Elaine is there, and they hadn't seen each other for a year, and they're just catching up and they're talking. So Gahan and Barbara explain this, and I got the exact words here in my notes. So here we go. All witches need to figure out where power lies. We feel that a woman's greatest power lies in her sexuality. We don't feel that this power is satanic or anti-feminist, but as a celebration of woman as a natural creature, on earthly body, a spiritual essence, and a womb. The whole history of witchcraft is interwoven with the fear of female sexuality. They burned us at the stake because they feared the erotic feelings we elicited in them. Later, they used marriage to hold us in bondage and made us into servants, whores, and fantasy dolls, never asking us what we wanted. They teach us that a normative human being is a rationalist, stoic male, and that the woman's emotions and intuitions are illnesses that need to be cured. We believe that men and women are different here, and that true equality lies in that difference. We strive for a male-female polarity and to regain our primal power as goddesses. This is where it gets interesting. We need to teach men how to love us using ways they can understand. So goddesses, use perfume, wear high heels and makeup, learn to dress your hair in attractive ways, display your flesh artfully, and know what to conceal. Be a mother and a lover. Stand your ground and always let the man feel like a man. Use sex magic to destroy his fear of you and to open his heart to the floodgates of love. Only then will he begin to see you as a human being with all of your inner being. Then when his heart is open to love, you may do with him what you will. So I did a voice recording and turned it to text. I didn't want to miss a beat. This is what Gahan and Barbara are explaining. Couple things. I agree actually with a good amount of what they said. Let me just start right there. I actually agree with a lot of what they said. Where I disagree with use sex magic to destroy his fear of you and to open his heart to the floodgates of love. No. You said you're disgusted. Yeah, I that right there is what, yeah. The part about, the disrespect to women and our emotions and how we're wired and what how we are. I understand, yeah, through the ages that's an issue. That's the part I agree with, but I don't agree with that. Um you can't make Okay, so here's a life lesson from a 51-year-old. You can't make men see you as human. If there are men in their 50s right now, they will never see me. To see me as human is to see me as an equal, and they don't want to see me as an equal because they think I'm below them. I'm the same level as a child. That's why they're quick to call you a girl. In my 50s. Is someone calling me a girl? It's like, are you serious right now? But it's done. Yeah, they do that. That is a thing. That's a thing. Um, we see that happen all the time, by the way. Like a full adult woman it was an intentional use of girl instead of woman, or even just calling her name. um you can't make We can't make them see us. We can't. All the sex magic in the world, all the potions, all the beautiful makeup, the jewelry, the way we wear our hair, we can't make them love us as who we really are and not just objects. We can't make that happen. If this man that is in your sphere that you want, if he's not seeing you, he's never going to see you. You said nothing wrong with finding power in sexuality, but no, shaking my head. Exactly. Oh, yes, you can work sex magic. You could work that, but I wouldn't work it on the intention of making him love you. This is the same thing where there's women, for lack of better words, in my day, they said, if you put out, he'll love you. No, we're on the same basis here. No matter how you slice and dice it, you just doing some extra razzle dazzle to the sex, but it's not going to make him love you. It's not going to make him love you for you specifically. That don't work. We keep trying, and through the ages, women keep trying to seduce the man and all this sort of stuff. It's like, to what end? I'm all down with seduction, but for what purpose? To what end? What are we seducing him for? You trying to get money out of him? All right, well, you probably gonna do that. You trying to get, like, him to do something for you? Okay, cool. You just want him to be nice for that time, for that situation? Okay, cool. We got that. But, like, you're not going to contrary speak. Then your witchcraft not working because I could change a man. I could do some head work and I can make him, and it can be undone. In the same way you can do, I'm telling you, seduction can work, but to what end? And you answer that question. To what end? What are you doing? What do you want? What are you trying to get out of this? Long term is not a one and done spell. And I want you to think about this. I'm not telling you it's not possible. I'm not telling you it's not possible. What I am telling you is I want you to understand the level of commitment to energy work that you were about to put yourself through to keep somebody who doesn't see you as a full human. Moving on. You said you have to keep doing it. A lot of women don't understand that. Oh my God. You're thinking, well, I it's okay. I would just keep doing it. And oh well. What about when he's sick? What if you have children with this man? What happens when your mom dies and your best friend or something? These big life changes happen, or you're just freaking tired. Do you want to constantly have a life where you have to keep doing magic on some dude to want you? Do you really want that? To what end? Ask yourself, to what end? If you were, I don't know, it doesn't matter, I just want him. Well, then want him for the moment. Don't want him forever. Want him for the moment. If you must get it, I'm not the type of witch to tell you, girl, just walk away. No. No. Go ahead, give in to you. Some people got fall on their face. I'm convinced of that. Some people, they just need to fall on their face and until they, and then be able to pick themselves back up, I guess. I don't know. I'm like, well, go ahead and do it and get yourself hurt. It is so not worth it, though. Imagine a life where you are the love. I talked about in the movie, Elaine sort of is a love witch, not from joy. I practice glamour magic in a place of joy. It's pleasurable. It is seduction all by my lonesome. Now, if I put it out there, that's, that turns into something else. Trust and believe. But it's inner work, and that has to come from a place of pleasure and joy, not trauma, not heartbreak, and not rejection or desperation. There's some shadow work that needs to be done. And if you don't know what that looks like for you, there's other videos that have talked about shadow work. And if you really want to get into it, book me. I'll help you. Leaptaken.com. Okay. I want to talk about the dancing, because that they touched on that. Dancing, the burlesque, and the spell, the sexuality aspect of it. So it's burlesque dancing says so much. You're not even saying anything, and it speaks volumes. You said Elaine probably can't ever define love. No, she couldn't. No. She didn't know. She knows obsession. She has a hole. And at one point that's actually said to her in the movie, like, you will never be loved enough. I could never love you enough. You have a hole inside of you. She doesn't realize that. But anyway, the dancing. So there's a part, so there's the cabaret or wherever they're at where the girls are dancing. So we see the the girl dancing on stage, and she's gorgeous, and she's kind of doing a very slow, classy striptease. And then there's another scene where Elaine herself does dance, and well, for somebody else's husband, but she's stripping off and she's doing her dance, and it was cracking me up the way she was moving, very 60s type dance moves, but it was cool. I liked it. But it's a ritual of its own. It's a spell of embodiment, seduction, and performance. It's a space where divine feminine, the cabaret, the divine feminine is celebrated on the surface, but is still objectified underneath. This was obvious when they're at the lounge, the nightclub, the place, whatever it's called. I don't know if we ever got a name for the place, but or maybe we did. I don't know. I didn't catch it. At one point in the movie, toward the end, this is a world where witches exist, but the people, the patrons, the customers at the bar just kind of hanging around, they don't like it. There's been murders because of Elaine, who is a witch, so they're justified technically. They're concerned, but unfortunately it shows that they're afraid, and their fear is exhibited as violence. And there's a scene where they try to attack, they said burn the witch, and they're coming after Elaine. And what's the first thing you see? You see men start to unbutton their pants, and they pull her pants, like pull her dress up or something like that, and they're about to rape her right there in the bar, on the floor right there with all these people. And the cop is there, Griff, that's a whole other topic. He stops it, but the point of that scene is that sex is violence. So all this love magic, all this sex magic, all this sort of stuff, and these men, when they felt like she's a murderer, no proof, they just, they hear this cop saying it, putting, their instinct is to rape. But we've heard this through the ages. When you hear about we hear about the Vikings, and the tales of that, rape and pillage. Some people forget the rape part, and it's just through history, when villages were invaded during the Crusades, all the other skirmishes and all the other things that have happened historically, when they come through, when whoever's coming through, when Rome came to conquer you, they raped the women and boys. Anyway, moving on. That violence, and that was telling you something there in that movie as well. all this talk around sensuality and all that, and trying to curate it just for the right man, for whoever you deem the right man is. In the end, these men, even in violence, they consider sex violent and violent act, and they want to violate you. It's sick. Which ties us into where we are today with these celebrities in the news right now, and the reasons they're in the news, wanting to violate women. It I mean, I wish we would get I want men to talk about this more. I want men to get to the heart of that. When I think about getting robbed, I know I'll raped and robbed. A man typically just gets robbed. But for women, it's raped and robbed. Do you realize that? Like, whatever the scenario is in modern times, it's never just going to be a robbery. Oh, he snatched my purse. He's going to try to rape you first. And he'll still rob you too. Like, it's sick. It's sick. That's why I'm so disgusted following this Diddy trial, by the way, with all this in mind, which is just a long layered act of violence through that situation. But anyway, burlesque. In its true form, it's about owning your sexuality. I think it's still here somewhere in Scottsdale. There is like a burlesque type bar situation. I've been meaning to check it out, and I haven't looked in a while. I got to see if it still exists. But I think after this movie and everything, I'm gonna try to treat myself and just go witness something like that, with my own eyes and see it. But anyway, it's about reclaiming power through performance. In the movie, though, it feels hollow. I do want to point out, Elaine is not, like, when they're in that bar before the attack and all that, when she's just, there. She's watching. She's not obviously dancing. She's admiring the sensuality, but also disconnected from it. She doesn't feel celebrated. She feels reminded of how desired she wants to be. I think a lot of women see it that way. When we see the Halle Baileys, the sweet innocent, you want to be that. The Cassies, you want to be that chick that got chose. To the Meg Thee Stallion, who exhibits sensuality and power very heavily. You desire to want to be that, but you're not celebrating it. And that's something maybe, some of us, we might need to do some work on that too. Throughout the film, dancing is used as a spell of attraction. The coven dances in circles. The burlesque dancers cast a charm with every move. There's the scene with the twins where they say they can't even dance, but the men loved it because they were casting a spell, even though they really didn't move right. It wasn't fluid, but they were casting a spell under the teachings of Barbara and Gahan. Anyway, but Elaine's always performing for someone else's desire, as she had been taught. It was never for her own. When I talk about ritualistic dancing, and you talk about other witches, they talk about twerking and just letting it out, and how it's healing to just move your body seductively in your own space, listening to music or with your man, whatever you into. It's for you though. I suggest you do this alone more often than not. It's for you. It's not for everybody else. It's not a performance. It can be. There's nothing wrong with that aspect, but that shouldn't be the only way that you approach, dancing within your spiritual practice. It should be for you, not just for it's for your desire, for your releasing, for your healing, for your just letting go, not for somebody else's desires to see you move seductively. And that's the heartbreak behind Glamour. She's gorgeous. Elaine's gorgeous, poised, enchanting, but her sensuality is strategic. It's not sacred. That is something a lot of people don't understand about being a love witch or a glamour witch. People are looking for a checklist so they could just do that, and now they're this too. And it's like, you have to make this thing sacred, dear. You gotta, relax a little bit. You gotta do the extra steps with the breathing and, touching. Are you softly touching yourself? Are you playing with your hair? Are you, loving on yourself in that moment? Are you connecting to you? Whatever that looks like for you. You're not strategic and just making sure that you have just the right shade. You applied this perfectly. Your hair is just right. That's you just, it's nothing, it's hollow. There's nothing to it. Okay, we can all have a great hair and beat makeup, but like, is there something more to this? And I'm just on the surface. Glamour and Love Magic is more than just makeup and hair, but I'm, just keeping on the surface for the conversation. Um, she weaponizes it though to get love, not to express joy. When does sensuality become a spell of self love, and when does it become a cage? Elaine's dancing world, her world is pink, soft, and sparkly, right? But it's so lonely. She's always center stage, but no one ever truly sees her. So, when is, basically, are you performing your sensuality as a spell of self-love? Are you truly, or is it a cage that you've kind of put yourself in, and is it more performative than you realize? And two could be true. Two of those things could be true, but that's a question for you to think about. We get deep. All right, so I did want to talk about there's the scene where there's a ritual to invoke the mighty mother, and this is some witchy stuff that I wanted to talk about. This is how the ritual goes. This is the whole spiritual group is they're all out there together doing this, naked per usual. So Gehan says, I invoke and call upon thee, mighty mother of us all. I invoke thee to descend upon the body of this, thy servant and priestess, this being Barbara. Barbara then says, of the mother, darksome and divine, here I charge you in this sign. And she makes some sort of gesture with her hands. Gehan then says, listen to the words of the great mother. She who was old was also Artemis, Aphrodite, Carowin, I'm butchering that, Diana, Isis, and by many other names. Then Barbara says, whenever ye have need of anything, then ye shall assemble in some secret place and adore me, who am queen of all witches. There shall ye assemble, ye who are fain to learn all sorcery. Behold, all acts of love and pleasure are my rituals. Behold, I have been with thee from the beginning. I am that which is attained at the end of desire. And then Gehan goes into some foreign language chant. And then everybody gets up and they dance in a circle, and they're all in a chant. I found that to be a very interesting ritual to see. Couple things that pointed out, I noticed immediately. So there were men with full frontal nudity on the movie, just they were naked. The Gehan guy was not. Now, I think that was a choice. We see so many, but he gets to observe, touch, kiss, as to his desire. But we notice he's not completely naked, vulnerable. And that tells you a lot about his stance. We touched on that earlier, but that did stand out to me, that scene, that he doesn't get to do that. And I feel like that's exhibited in the music industry. If you looked at the any award show, the women are damn near naked. And I have no issue with that. I don't have an issue against women being, half naked and showing what they got, just grown women. That's not my issue. But in juxtaposition to the men who are never. The one male artist who I felt like challenged that a little bit more was Lil Nas X, and I love that for him. But you don't see them. So it's like the women have to constantly be paraded around, vulnerable, but the men not so much. So we see this in real life, and it has real life consequences, by the way. I know there's nothing wrong with wanting to be free and express yourself the way you do. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But there's consequences to this. Unfortunately, I don't agree with this, and I don't want them there to be, but there are. Um, I want to talk back about the tarot cards again. So if you recall, Richard, if you watch the movie, Richard, who is Trish, remember Trish? We've talked about Trish a couple times now. She's from the beginning of the movie. She showed her the house. Trish has a husband, Richard. On accident, they meet, Richard and Elaine. Well, she follows this in the back of her head. When it don't work out with one dude, now she decides she gonna take Trish's man. Trish is out of town. She going for her man, and she has an affair with this dude. But he's not what she wanted because she has a hole inside of her. Is insatiable. She can't possibly really fall in love, as you were saying, Sunflower and Thistle. She doesn't know how to define love. So this guy is intoxicated with Elaine, this married man. He's pulling his own tarot cards. Also, I didn't even mention Elaine pulled tarot cards at another time, and she's still coming up with the Three of Swords. In Richard's spread, that I'm shocked this man who seems straight laced pulled tarot cards. That much he was so enthralled with her. She's not taking his calls, not communicating with him. She doesn't want him no more. Now she done gave him the love potion and everything, got this man sprung. She don't want him. She don't like the way he acts. Anyway, so he pulls the Nine of Swords, which is a heartbreak card. He pulls the Three of Swords, which is, we talked about, a heartbreak card. And the Devil. The Devil is all about obsession, his obsession. And he offs himself because he couldn't handle it. Um, yeah, that tells, ooh, that was a lot right there, with that one. I felt bad for Trish because Trish would just need. Trish was thought, she was happy to be engaged and have this dude and be married, da 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 da, and then it went from him killing himself. He got freaked out over some chick, and then she find out it's this woman that she's kind of been looking up to, wearing her underwear. Oh, child, this movie is deep. The Ren Fair Festival summer solstice celebration that coven partakes in is creepy. It's creepy. The jester person was freaking me out. I don't like that. I'm not a fan of clowns, so I don't like that. But anyway, they kind of enact out kind of some Wiccan stuff, like the Holly King gets the Green Maiden and all that sort of stuff. The mock marriage scene was just crazy. Y'all, it was so campy and interesting. But I do want to point out, when they would use the cords, they did the hand tie thing. I can't get hand fasting. Yeah, they used a blue cord. I noticed, and I thought blue psychic awareness and truth. I did like that. Um, I found it interesting at one point. So now we're later in the movie. Griff, there's a police officer, detective involved now. Watch the movie, you'll figure that part out. But anyway, he has this is basically the new man that she's interested in, that Elaine is trying to enthrall. And he's doing it, and we hear his inner dialogue. And he's basically saying, because he's a detective, love would make him too soft. Eventually he'll get married because he knows that's what he should do. But he doesn't see it that way. The more a woman loves him, the more repelled he is. And this is his inner dialogue. Then we hear Elaine's dialogue. She's obsessing, thinking about loving him. How every little thing he does is a reason to love him, and how she'll just love him forever and ever. And this is at this point, after this, she does like a binding spell with the coven. Just all the things. If you were talking to me, I would say, please don't do that. Don't do this. You're hurting yourself. She's just obsessed with love in the most self-harming way possible. And that goes on. It's, oh my goodness. Anyway, so the grand finale, and where I'm going to wrap this up, is that she sort of, really in the end, she became the witch in the painting over her prince with a knife after she stabbed him. Except in her painting, she had his heart. And she, in her mind, deluded, crazy, blonde mind, she did have his heart. And she played out this fantasy. And that's how the movie ends. Um, yeah. Yeah. It's a tragic movie. Campy, entertaining, so many things to look at, so many things to take away from. But there are lessons on lessons on lessons about male centeredness, the absence of joy in your practice, the absence of self love, unhealed trauma from you know, when we were children, you know, being a child growing up, not feeling loved enough. I have this whole theory on being unwanted and how it drives people, men and women, to do the things that we do. And there's so many of us who are born, oops, you know, accidentally unplanned pregnancies, call it what you will. Some parents rose to the occasion and said, okay, this is my opportunity. And they, you know, they wanted to love on that baby. And they may not have gotten everything right, but the intention was there. And most times I think children know that, they understand that, especially as they become adults and they look back, they know their parents were trying. Maybe they didn't have it right. Um, and then there's the others. And sadly, there's more parents over the years, over time, where they did not rise to the occasion. They did what they needed to do to, you know, not abandon the child. I'm not saying they didn't love them, but they never rose to the occasion. I feel like to be a parent, at some point you have this moment when they're crying and you did all the things and you're exhausted, and it's just you and that kid. And I can speak from being a mother. It's just you and this kid, and yeah, you are at your moment. There's a moment where you like, I don't want to do this no more. Like, F all this. Like, I don't, even if you wanted it, like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm exhausted. Even if you got through that, then there's the toddler stage where they try your gangster in a way you've never been tried before. And you have got to, they know a couple words enough to get smart with you or say some real out of pocket stuff. You want to do something to that little person, but they don't know what they speak. They do, but they don't. That's another trying moment where you kind of, that's another moment. And sadly, other people with children get to this. And you know how you stopped yourself and you didn't take it personally? There's other people. Listen, I unfortunately, I'm aware of them personally. They took it personal when the baby kept crying. The baby's intentionally trying to interrupt your sleep. They took it personal when the toddler was being a toddler. They took it personal when the teenager was being a teenager and testing boundaries. And through this, that person never felt loved truly by this person, never felt protected truly, and they never felt wanted. And that is the adult that you meet. That's the person you're going to try to be friends with, go on a date with. That's your supervisor. You said, and they bite. Oh my gosh, yes. The baby, the toddler, yes. You have your moments, like, give your pat on the back if, like, most of those moments you didn't do that. You survived the parenting, even if you're currently in, like, the elementary school age right now, kids, and you know, you made it through. You didn't do that. You didn't internalize it, that what this child was doing, as something against you, and held it against them. There are people out there like that, and you're making these people, and they go out into the world to truly not feel wanted, to never really feeling protected, to not truly feeling really loved by the people who made you. That don't turn out good, y'all. And that is I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think you really heal from it. I think you learn to deal with the open wound of that. I don't think you really can heal from it deep down. It's one thing for us to be afraid that that might be a situation. It's another, like as an adult thinking it back, it's another thing to kind of have proof. There's a lot of people who may never heal and never even, and they don't even know how to address that. That's what their issue is. The men who seem to just hate women. They want women, they're attracted, they want to have sex with you, but they don't like you. And they don't even know why they don't like you. It's an army of these men existing. The women who are never girls, they're not even their own girls. They don't even look out for themselves properly. They exist. This movie made me think about that. They exist. They're just out and about. And yes, some of them are actually witches in real life. So when you see things playing out on social media and this witch is trying to hex this witch and they're jealous of them and they're saying crazy stuff about them, think about what I just told you. Because why are you this involved in this like somebody you don't even know in real life? Child. Anyway, just my thoughts on that. It's a working theory that I have about that. Yeah. I thought about something that was said. I think it was Elaine who said it in her dialogue with Griff, the detective, when he started to connect her to the deaths of, multiple deaths. But anyway, she says something. She says, witchcraft is just a way to concentrate energy. I definitely agreed with that. Witchcraft is just a way to concentrate energy. When I really thought, I was like, I love that she said that. I like that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff she didn't get right, but there was, stuff she did get right. She understood that, at least. And that's something I hope that you take away from that. But what is the energy that you're working with? Where are you pulling this energy from? We can transmute it now. Don't get me wrong, but start wondering that, like, that's your takeaway from all this. You said I need to watch this movie again. You should. Again, it's available. I watched it for free on Tubi. There were some ads interrupting, but get into it. It's free. You could do it there. And I watched it on my computer. I'm getting like the young kids. I didn't even watch it on the TV. I just went to Tubi.com. I don't know. I pulled it up there and I just started watching it there. So it just made life easier because I was taking notes. So, and I type faster than I write. So I wanted to be on my computer when I did it. But I'm going to end it here. And this was a very enjoyable take. Watching it from this lens. I was intentional about why I was watching it. And I watched it yesterday for today. And everything was already swarming around in my head. I had a book. I didn't want to do that book. I wanted to talk about this movie instead. And I wanted to add more movies in and do a good thorough breakdown like this. Let me know in the comments if you're catching this on a replay. Do you guys like movie reviews too? Witchy movie reviews as well as book reviews. But I'm going to end. Please like this video, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. It really helps the channel, helps me to try to grow a little bit more. Hit the join button. You'll be supporting Leap Taken. It's a membership here. It's like a Patreon. It really helps here as well. And helps me. And I give you member only videos. You get a super discount over at leaptaken.com. Head over to my website, leaptaken.com. Also, if this intrigued you, the concept of working love magic, not all the drama and negative stuff from the movie, but the other aspects, you're going to need a place to write all that. Book of Shadows for the Love Witch. This book has all the information that you would love to have to get started in your love witch practice. But there's also blank pages for you to fill in your spells, your correspondences, your magic. all here. This is available at leaptaken.com. It's available on a TikTok shop. It's available on Amazon as well. The links are in the description. Check that out. And the book is beautiful. Ow. Ow. But yeah, I have another channel. Link is in the description. It's called Magical Lifestyle Avocado Twitch. If you're interested in seeing those videos over there, it's more vlog style. It's anything style. It's not just sit down. That's my point. Go check me out over there. I'm gonna have some new content coming up there soon. And I haven't really talked. I just kind of introduced it Wednesday, but I'm starting something new here at Leap Taken. So on Sundays, I'll be posting a video. It's supposed to be one topic, 1 hour, a deep dive, a thorough deep dive. So look forward to that video this Sunday, and you know, check those out. Let me know what you guys think with the first one. I'm gonna go deep into all types of topics, by the way. So look forward to that going. That'll be a new addition to the channel. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Sunflower and Thistle, appreciate you per usual. Love you. And Insky, love you as well. Everybody else who catches this. All right, bye.